This reading journal is one of the best ways to keep track of what my student is reading and assessing their reading skills and comprehension. Also to know that they completed it for sure. And when we are doing books for Challenge A and Challenge B, we sometimes like to pre-read these books. And so this is the best tool I have to keep track of pre-reading so that you can go back and refresh your memory when it's time to discuss that book and write your paper for class. And if we haven't met before, hi, my name's Erica Lynn, and I am a homeschooling mom of 4, and it is my hope to help make homeschooling easier for you too. So this is one of my tips and tricks that I use to help assess my students' reading and reading skills. So I've been asked a lot of questions about what is this book recently as I've been reading through the Tanglewood Tales. And essentially what I did my first year directing Challenge B was I sat down and I just took out this composition notebook. So it can be any notebook you want. And I created a reading journal as I went through each of the novels. And I like to divide mine by making a tab at the top for each book that I've read. So in Challenge B, we read 5 novels. We also did this for all of the Challenge A books when my kids were in that strand as well. And then when you turn to each section, like we start with the Phantom Toll Booth, each page is going to be for one chapter in the book. And so I just take a highlighter and I divide it into 6 sections. I write the title and the chapter up at the top so that I know what I'm doing. And then my sections are people, places, events, words, interesting facts, and the summary. Now, here's how I use this. As we're going through the story, it's really helpful to keep track of the people, the places, and the events that happen just so that you know where you're at in the story. If you come across a name and you're like, I can't remember who this character is, you can very quickly go back and look through all of your people sections in your chapters until you see that person was first introduced, and you can refresh yourself of who they are. Same thing with places and events. Words I like to use for any new words that I've come across in reading that I don't know what they mean. And what I like to do is write it down, and then I like to look up the definition. I either do that right then if I need to understand the word to continue reading the chapter, or I'll come back at the end of the chapter and just look them all up and I'll put the definition down next to it. You'll notice these don't have definitions because these are kind of made up words from the Phantom Toll Booth. So I just wrote them down and took note of them. Interesting facts. This is anything that really sparked my interest. This category is important for 2 reasons. Number 1, when you are doing your Annie chart and you need to make a list of interesting things for your I column, come back and just copy all your interesting facts that you thought were curious from each of your chapters into that list. That is a huge time saver. Number 2, these are great conversation starters in class. And so when I've got an interesting fact, that's the kind of thing that I want to discuss with my director, with my student, with my child at home. And so this has been really, really fun to dig into and just get curious about. And that's what good books are for. They're to make us think outside of our normal thinking patterns and to get curious. The summary is really great to refresh your mind. So the week before we're going to discuss the book in class, it's really great to come through and just read the summary on each chapter. You'll notice mine are usually just a sentence, so it's very easy to get through it in 10 minutes or less. Now I'll just show you, I started chapter 1, or this one I actually started with the appreciation because I felt like it was noteworthy. And then as I turn the page, I just go through here. This is chapter 1, this is chapter 2, chapter 3, chapter 4, and I just keep going through the book. I'll flip over to Little Britches. I've got the same pattern here, Where the Red Fern Grows. It's all the same, and I've got the same 6 categories. Now, I will say for short stories, I did a little bit differently. I just did a 1-page spread for each short story. And so you could even do this second semester in Challenge B if you wanted to keep track of what your student is reading and learning for the short stories. I kept the same categories, but in some of these, now this was the introduction, that's why there's a lot that's blank. But in some of these, there wasn't as much. Like I didn't have any interesting facts. It was just so short. I was mostly focused on filling in some of the other things. So these Tanglewood Tales short stories are a little bit longer, and so I liked using a full spread to give myself a little bit more room. I have my people, places, events, and words straight across here. You can see how I have filled up some of these sections. And then my interesting facts and my summary. With my summaries on short stories, this is why I keep referencing it with Tanglewood Tales, is I've gone through and kind of put some of the meanings and the purpose behind these stories. After I finished reading it and I was able to draw some conclusions, I came back and put that in my summary so that I wouldn't forget some of the metaphorical situations in these stories and how they're supposed to be applied to our life or our thinking patterns today. And that is how I do a reading journal. So I hope this helps make homeschooling easier for you. It has certainly saved my students a ton of work, as it helps them to be able to pre-read some of their novels over the summer and really enjoy those more than trying to rush through and read them all during the school year. And it also helped my students in A and B to really be able to understand how to appreciate a novel as you're reading it. So after we went through this, I was able to look at what my student wrote down and to recognize, okay, they were paying attention to what happened. They comprehended what they were reading. And so this has ended up being a great assessment tool for me when it comes to English grades. I'm able to assess more accurately what they comprehended, what was interesting to them, and a great jumping off point for conversations. Please like and subscribe to my channel and to this video. It helps me so much getting my videos out so more people can see them. And honestly, it just means the world to me to know that I have helped somebody and made their journey a little bit easier, saving them some of the time and mistakes that I have made over the last 15 years. You all have a great day.